Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this Scream reunion. My name's Janelle Riley. I'm an editor of Variety, and I am so thrilled to be here today for this tribute to a movie that is still as popular and beloved as when it came out 24 years ago. Before we kick off, though, I do want to remind everyone that we're raising money today for 3 amazing organizations, and you can actually everyone can continue to donate throughout the event. So if you hear something you really like that someone says, maybe something you've never heard before about Scream, hit the donate button. Think of it as tipping your waiter, and these amazing actors and writer are your waiter in that metaphor. Just so you know, the 3 organizations that we are collecting for are the National Breast Cancer Coalition. Their mission is to end breast cancer through the power of action and advocacy. NBCC increases funding for innovative breast cancer research, monitors how research funds are spent, expands access to quality health care for all, and ensures that trained advocates influence all decision making. We also have the I Have a Dream Foundation Los Angeles, which provides long-term support to youth living in under-resourced communities to enable them to achieve their full potential. From an early age, they promote values of higher education and career successes and provide opportunities guaranteed through financial resources, enrichment programs, and more. And finally, we have the East Los Angeles Women's Center, whose mission is to ensure that all women, girls, and their families live in a place of safety, health, and personal well-being, free from violence and abuse, with equal access to necessary health services and social support, with an emphasis on Latino communities. So again, all your donations go to these 3 organizations. Please feel free to donate throughout. We've also added some additional one-on-one calls after the Q&A. So if you still haven't bought one, head over to the website and purchase one now at events.loopedlive.com/scream. Oh, / how appropriate. And if you do post photos from the event, hashtag them Scream Reunion and Looped Live. And now, thank you for putting up with me through all that housekeeping. I'm going to welcome today's guests who brought the original Scream to life. Please welcome Neve Campbell, who of course has played Sydney throughout this series. We also have joining us David Arquette, who stars as Dewey. You know him as Randy. Please welcome Jamie Kennedy. A real killer. He played Stuart. Please welcome Matthew Lillard. We also have joining us the actor who played Tatum, Rose McGowan. Her dog will make a special appearance, I promise you, at a certain point. Also welcome the actor who played Billy, Skeet Ulrich. And finally, the gentleman who I told you for making an appearance. He's excited, as I am, to welcome Kevin Williamson, the film's writer. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. She was so quiet up until now. That's what's funny. Now she wants to be seen. Again, congratulations on a film that, unlike some of your characters, have had a really long life. Scream came out in 1996, spawned imitations, homages, and tributes. People to this day still reference it. I think people forget that right out of the gate, this was a big hit, but it was made on an indie budget. And I actually want to start at the beginning and just ask each of you if you have a favorite memory from working on the film. It could be anything. And actually, let's start with Kevin.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, right from the very beginning, I think the biggest thing that is meeting Wes Craven for the first time. And that was pretty cool. I mean, because he had been such, I had him up on a pedestal from Nightmare on Elm Street. And so meeting him for the first time was a big deal. I got really nervous. I got really kind of, I was a mess that day. He invited me to his house because he had notes on the script. And he lived up in Nichols Canyon, and I just got lost going there, and I was panicked. And I finally got there, and I walked in, and he was so nice. He was so cool. And his notes were like, he had a bunch of typos. It was like, turns out he was an English professor in a former life.
I love that. Neve, what about for you?
There's so many great experiences. I think it's sort of an overall thing. I mean, it was such an incredible experience for all of us. It was like being at summer camp. I mean, we're all pretty new to the business, or not new to the business necessarily, but we were all pretty early on in it. And so for us to be up on location somewhere beautiful with this really fun, fantastic script and with great actors and just, I don't know, we had a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And I think we didn't quite realize what we had, I think we knew it was good. We knew it was great, but you still never know what's going to happen. So the outcome obviously was really great.
Matthew, what about for you?
I remember the first time reading the script. I was staying in a guest house in the Hollywood Hills, and I read the opening sequence, and it scared the crap out of me. And I literally made the conscious decision to put it down and continue in the daylight. So, wow. Yeah, and that was the first sort of experience, and back then you don't realize, to what Nev said, I don't think anyone realized we would be here 24 years later. What is that? That is crazy. 24 years later, it's bananas to me that that people are still willing to listen to us talk about it, because it's just a piece of our childhood that we've all grown up with it now, and I think it's near and dear to all of us.
And what's weird is you all look pretty much the same. It's kind of eerie, honestly.
You really don't.
No, you really don't.
Harry.
Okay.
Little Harry.
Devin Rose does. Skeet. He does too. It's just
Skeet, what about for you? Do you have a favorite memory of working on the first movie?
When I think about it, I think about when we would get off work around sunrise during that time. When we were shooting only nights for a little while, and getting together and us all straggling into this hotel that people are leaving for their day, and we're just returning at 6 a.m. with wine and happy and ready to go party and blood. And those experiences around that hotel were kind of defining it for me. What was that hotel called?
Was it the Doubletree?
Doubletree Inn, yeah.
Yeah, it was. You remember that? I didn't know that.
It's just the experiences around David's room, because it all happened in David's room.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Oh, was that where all the
go-kart riding was a lot of fun. I remember us going go-kart riding. I don't know how many of us did that, but that was fun.
Rose, what about for you? You had one of the most memorable on-screen deaths I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, I think not just in Scream, I think just in general.
Yes.
If you're going to die, make it memorable. And you know what? I have a couple of best memories. One of them was involving Kevin. And I don't know if you remember this, Kevin, but there's a scene, this you'll remember, you wrote it, but there's a scene and you came up to me after the scene, and it's when it's like some Wes Carpenter flick or something. And I think I'm talking to, it's like, pathos has its perks, or pathos, however you pronounce it. I always forget. Pathos has its perks. And I'm talking to Sydney Nev on the porch. And Kevin, you came up to me after, and I remember you were so excited. Ow, shouldn't do that. And you said, I wrote there's a transition scene, and now I didn't really think about it that much. I wrote it to get to the next action thing. And it's now one of my favorite scenes. And I took that, and that made me feel so good. And my memory is also Wes Craven, of course, Wes. And Wes and I had a really sweet friendship, and I had my dog Bug. She was my baby Boston Terrier that I got. She was 10 weeks old when I got her. And Wes used to babysit her on the weekends when I had to fly back to LA. And we would argue about who was going to keep her. And then he said, no, the coyotes at my house will eat her. And I'm like, I'm taking her. But it was all usually involving, I don't know, it was the whole thing. It was it wasn't, I really thought every set was going to be like that one. And it was a really magical set. Yeah.
Wow. David, what about for you?
Oh man, my room was really silly. I had black light posters.
I think you had black lights. Yeah.
Yeah, black light posters and lava lamps.
Lava lamps.
A bar.
Hanging from the
But my first meeting Wes Craven for me too, during the audition process, and I was like, I don't feel like I'm a high school kid. I'd really love to read for Dewey. He was kind of written as more of a jock type, I think. I don't know. But Wes was like, oh, that's interesting. And thank goodness he saw that direction, and I could have never played one of those other roles. You two were so brilliant. I love watching it still.
Well,
You
who did he
two in
want
that
you to read
kitchen.
for?
What?
Who did he want you to read for?
Just one of the high schoolers.
Okay.
You know.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that would be Matthew or Skeet or
Or Jamie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you made
Casey's
the right
boyfriend.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah. I could have been Casey's boyfriend. That's another thing I love. Casey's boyfriend and and Sydney's mom are I think they were just kind of like extras cast, and then they end up having this.
By the way, who was Casey's boyfriend? I'm like, who? Who was Casey's boyfriend? God bless him.
The guy in the beginning gets killed. I don't know.
Yeah, he was actually an actor.
I have no memory of a boyfriend.
He actually read opposite a lot of actresses. He was our reader, and a lot of
cool.
He was an actor in his own right. And then I think he had done so much for us with the reading that we ended up casting him in that opening scene.
Oh, awesome!
So neat.
What about Kevin? What about Sydney's mom? I'm always
State players. She was a San Francisco local hire.
Wow.
Wait, where do I tip? Because this is shit I didn't even know.
So was my hairdresser.
If we get a lot of tips today, Skeet's going to strip halfway through.
All right.
If you're watching, Skeet is going to show you his abs.
Let me go buy some real quick.
David, obviously you made the right choice because Dewey has survived all the way up to, I guess, the 5th movie. Yeah, sorry, I hate to.
That's what it really was. Very clever.
Remember, we were going to kill you in the first film, and then we filmed you getting loaded up into the ambulance just as sort of an extra.
Oh, I know. It's so gracious of you guys.
Skin of your teeth.
Wow, that's amazing.
We just saw how great it was.
Yeah. Jamie, for you, what's some of your personal favorite memory from working on the first movie?
I mean, it's just so much. I just remember, Rose, you remember we used to go to the local Denny's? We had I just remember Denny's with you, wine with Nev after the murder scene. David come into my room, and I'm with the DoubleTree, and I'm like, this is your room? My room just has a cookie, and it was totally new. It was like a club. Skeet, we played ball. I just Matthew and me, we would go out and hang. We went to San Francisco, and just I was just so nervous, I remember for 4 days I didn't even leave my room, and I never ate a DoubleTree cookie. I didn't even know we got cookies when you got them. And then after I did my first video store scene,
they were dark
I was
chocolate.
Oh. Yeah, and I was like, David, I don't know if you remember, yo, dude, you get a cookie a day, and I was like, oh shit. So then I started eating my cookies after my first scene because I didn't want to be, I didn't want to look too bloated.
These are the gems you get with this. It doesn't get better than this.
I actually there's a question here from Brian Farmer that I would love to know the answer to, if any of you would admit it. The question is, when you first received the script, did any of you consider almost passing? Or was it an instant yes from everyone?
I don't know if any of us were in a position to pass. I mean,
Yeah, really.
people are always like, "Oh, why did you choose that as your first?" I was like, "It was my first lead in a movie."
You're like, "Cause job."
That role.
Yeah.
I was not going to pass.
No way. Yeah, it was audition 10 times. I just remember seeing Jason Lee and Breckin Meyer, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, I didn't know that. I will donate for that because that is a really cool reveal. What was your initial reaction when the script found its way to you? I mean, like Matthew said, he had to put it down. Just the script was so scary. But, Kevin, you really started this trend of meta commenting, both tribute, homage, but also slight parody of the horror genre. Was there anyone who told you that wasn't going to work?
No.
Yeah.
I was just a starving writer, and I just I wrote the movie I wanted to see. So,
fantastic. That's the best
That's
advice.
the way to write.
Yeah. Does anyone remember their initial response when they read the script?
I remember being pretty shocked, for sure. I never saw the ending coming. Could never really piece it together. It was pretty terrifying. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like Matt. I definitely got through it.
I got through it eventually. I read the whole thing.
I don't think you've read it to this day.
So, I remember about the script was that it had no stage directions. And I was starting to get a lot of scripts at that point, like a lot of like mid-90s, like action stuff. And it was like always 2 paragraphs of what was going to happen. And this was just like interior kitchen, girls on a phone, Casey, boom. And it was just like, boom. And I just remember I was on a treadmill reading it. And I read it the first 30 pages in like 12 minutes. And it took me like that same amount of time to read another script that was like 8 pages. And I was six. So that's how I knew it was going to be great, because there was no script that was just that clean.
It was. I wanted the screen directions to be minimal. I had read so many scripts where they're so dense, and I was coming out of it. Announcing behaviors worth a pound of words was always my philosophy, and so I tried to be a minimalist when it came to all that, to really make it count when you did write it. That was just I'm much more long-winded today.
I was going to ask, do you still keep to that?
I try wherever possible.
Cool.
And television, it's hard because you have to explain every single thing.
Right.
To 20
everything
people before it ever gets in front of the camera.
We have a question here from Julie for the cast. Wants to know if working on Scream changed your perspective on horror movies or gave you a new appreciation for the genre. I don't know if any of you were already horror fans when you signed on to this.
Nat, what do you think?
Well, I chose not to respond because I'm not that interesting. I'm not a big horror fan, so
no.
I could list alone, but I can't honestly. No, I had seen a movie called The Changeling when I was like 13 years old, and
but that's terrifying.
At a sleepover, and because of that movie, I never saw horror films after that. And then of course, Scream, and then I remember I think it was on, what was the second one with Jada Pinkett Smith, and she found out that I hadn't seen any of Wes's movies. She got so angry at me that she saw his films and a load of other horror movies, which was great. But yeah, so it didn't change my perspective because I didn't have much other than The Changeling, and I found it terrifying. So
wow.
But I knew it was good. I knew when I read the script that it moved really quickly, and that when I started, I couldn't put it down till the end. So in that sense, I knew it was great. But I hadn't experienced really horror films before. So.
Wow. And now you're a queen.
Yeah.
I think that Scream has gone beyond horror movies. I mean, everyone in here, we've all been to conventions together, and it's just a movie now. It is just a piece of pop iconic culture forever. I mean, it's now like, it's incredible. Like I saw Anthony Michael Hall, and Breakfast Club was my movie, and I was like, if we could do like something like that. And now, like, when I see him, he's like, Scream was the kids from the 90s said that was their Breakfast Club, which is incredible.
Speaking of, you do have such a wonderful, passionate fan base. Thank you, everyone who's watching right now. What have been some of your favorite fan encounters? Or I'm just curious, like, Skeet, do people just like come up to you and start quoting lines to your face? And is that terrifying? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Oh, you got to unmute.
How do we unmute you? There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, I've had some interesting experiences for sure. And people definitely like to quote the film. I'm sure everybody's had that go on. Some of the tattoos are really interesting that I see people get. There's one woman came up, had like her entire thigh was Matt and I. And I couldn't believe it. Like I just couldn't believe it. So I mean, I've never had any.
That action. We like to remind people not to tattoo our faces next to their
Yeah.
At home, you don't have to do that to enjoy the movie.
I just like that people like our faces, because people had various roles, me tattooed on their bodies, and I love that as they age and their body changes shape, so will the tattoos. Very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
and you are dependent, like you're what, or the person who me, I don't know what is like that the sixth person at that point. If you're in a tattoo of someone's tattoo, how do I even refer to that? But like, yeah, I saw someone once and then they lost a lot of weight, which is great, or they were happy with it. But then I don't know, like everything, it's fascinating. It's fascinating being part of culture. And I always just think, oh my God, so many moms are mad at me. So many moms are mad at me.
I'm going to have to get my tattoos of you guys removed now. I think.
I'm actually a proponent, baby. I'm all for it.
Yeah, by the way, if you tip big, we will get all of your faces tattooed on our bodies today. So please,
what just happened?
Tip. We will choose one of you, and Nev will get your face tattooed on her body.
People call me Doofy a lot from the Scary Movie. I get Doofy probably more than I get Dewey, which I get Dewey a lot. People often call me Dewey as if they think that's my name. But yeah.
But Dewey is a lovable guy. At least if you're going to get called mistaken for a character, you could do worse than Dewey.
Thanks.
There are a lot of people that will come up and say you're in Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Really? What do you say?
Which was the original title.
The original title.
Yeah.
So you're right. I am.
Technically, you are.
Yeah.
Technically, we are.
We have a question. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just remember. Do any of you? I wanted to ask you guys. Do you remember? There was the film's premiere, and I remember at the party because it was in the Los Angeles Times, and I read it. I read the lady's quote. They had like a tarot, like this mystic. I don't know how they go scream, but whatever. At the after party, and she was like reading people's tarots and telling the future, and she was the last line in the LA Times article on the premiere. And she goes, I predict Scream will go poof at the box office. And I'm like, how you like me now, bitch?
I remember that. I remember
You're
that.
still carrying that grudge 24 years later.
I carry that grudge. Screw your psychic abilities.
Wait.
Ow.
I remember that we came out the same weekend as Mars Attacks.
Mm.
And Mars Attacks was the huge movie. And we were like this little side thing, and it said if Mars Attack is like fun like space, like B movie, whatever, Scream, and had a picture of Rose and Nev in Entertainment Weekly, and it said this is the little cousin, and then we became this thing.
Ha we attacked
At
Mars.
first-
Suck it.
Yeah.
At first, it didn't do like that great the first week or two.
Yeah,
That's right.
And then it like word of mouth, it took off,
Yeah.
and then it was like did well
Boom.
for several weeks.
Ever.
Yeah.
Didn't we open
A
it
couple of decades now.
Every week we kept
yeah.
moving.
Yeah,
And it
which
was
is
really
really
unheard of.
rare.
To do
It's
that.
That
really
and
unheard.
George, and
Especially
George,
for horror
One Fine
films.
Day.
which horror films are like, oh, that thing was a piece of shit. But sorry, I always tell the truth. One Fine Day, George. What? Okay.
I've never seen it, so I can't defend it. But we have a question from Eden Fury. That's a great name, by the way. Question for Kevin Williamson. Wants to know what plot points have changed since your original conception, i.e., something like Dewey not dying.
What plot points? You know what? In the original script, there was no principal who got killed. There was a principal character, but he didn't get killed. And I remember that the studio read the script and they felt like there was a big chunk in the middle of the movie where no one got killed. And so they go, you need to add a death. And I went, okay, the principal. So
Wow. Did you know that at that point that Henry Winkler would be playing the principal? You were going to kill the Fonz?
I think Henry Winkler was a friend of Wes's, and I think Wes called him up and just sort of asked for a favor and said, can you come up for the day or 2 days? And he came up and played the part.
That's
That's
amazing.
my memory of it. If anyone else has a better memory.
Donate. These are gems. I did not know that.
I grew up right around the corner from Paramount Studios, and as a kid, when I was like 7 or 8, like literally that young, alone, I would go to Happy Days and wait and go in and watch the live studio audience. Like, I don't know what my parents were doing, but I would go, and I'd always like go to that, Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley, and I would sit in the audience. But at Happy Days one time, I waited after, and Fonzie shook my hand, and I was like, oh my gosh, it meant so much to me. And then I told Henry Winkler when I worked with him, I told him that story. He said, well, let me shake your hand again. He really is like the sweetest guy.
I love that. And then you
tip.
Yes, please. And if you're looking for where to tip, it's under details on the screen. And remember, it goes to 3 wonderful organizations. We have a question for the whole cast from Lucy Newman. Wants to know, what was the scene with the most retakes or bloopers or most difficult to film?
Probably the final
final scene, really.
Well,
that final scene took forever, didn't it, you guys?
It took weeks, right? Because it was all the fight sequences to do and all the deaths and just to get it right. And yeah, it was great though. It was fun, but during
I can't remember which scene it was, but I remember one like not being able to get through without laughing.
Really? I can't remember which one.
And we shot on film, so that cost.
I can't even.
Wow. That's right. That's right.
I remember the garage scene, which none of you were there for, other than me. And for the record, no one told me it was cold. I mean, I knew it was cold, but no one told me what was happening to me physically. Just clear that up. They were not prosthetics. Clear that rumor up. There were 2 parts. There were 2
double tip.
Tip. There was a problem. There's something I didn't reveal to Wes Craven that night. I don't know if I've said this before. Was that I can't scream. I have a block against it.
Oh, really?
And that, yeah, I've never. I can't. Yeah, and I didn't tell him until we were about to film that scene. And he's like, so here's where you really, really scream. And I go, Wes, I have to be honest with you. I can't scream. I can yell, but that's where I can't. And also I said, I said, can I please say mom before the final thing? Because I really was dedicated to the fact that I didn't want Tatum to be a disposable blonde with big boobs, whatever, on screen that would just, be another kill. I wanted people to be like feel like their friend was gone and someone that like they had empathy for, and that's something that's very lacking in a lot of horror films. You don't generally care. You're just like oh wow, that was a cool death. Oh wow, that person died in a really way, which I generally my thing. I personally like kind of empathy for characters, and I was really determined. I was like, no, motherfuckers, you're gonna feel something. Mm-hmm. So I screamed mom, and that was my trade with Wes. I was like, I promise I will make it. Like, nah, I can yell, but I like the and I knew like Jamie Curtis, like all that kind of stuff, like it, or like the Scream Queens, like they could scream. I cannot make my voice do that. And he was like, what? And well, that's not Wes's voice. What? Very professorial. But it worked out, obviously.
Nev, as the face of the Scream franchise in many ways and the voice of it, have you always been good at screaming, or was that something you had to practice and develop?
I had 2 years of practice. My first job was a Phantom of the Opera when I was 15 years old. I was one of the 6 ballet chorus in that, and we had to scream every single night. So
wow,
I did 800 shows of that in 2 years.
Wow.
So I had a lot of practice.
Do you have to work, could you just do it right now, or do you have to prepare and warm up to do a good scream?
I could do it.
People will donate, I think, if you do.
Oh my God.
Warn us.
I'm terrified.
Make them donate first and then do it.
Donate first, yeah. No, whenever you're ready, let us know, and we will hear it anytime.
Emotionally warm up.
We have a question from Kate Driver. Oh, what would be Randy's rules for surviving a horror film in the 21st century? I think this is mainly for Jamie, but anyone who wants to chip in can.
Kevin? Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, Kevin, we should ask.
You got me.
Man, I get asked those rules. That's like one of the things from the movie all the time, but it's not just rules of a horror movie. It's like, what are the rules for surviving a pandemic? People come up to me. I had somebody at Trader Joe's. Hey, what are the rules for surviving my second marriage? What are the rules?
That's a lot of pressure.
That's hilarious.
People are always like, yo.
That's very specific.
Yeah, I just, all day. I'm the rules guy. So whatever you need.
You should write a book, dude.
I know, that would be a great website.
Just write like a self-help, not self-help because that's stupid. But
yes,
help.
That's
write
hilarious.
a help book with rules for random situations, rules for a bad Tinder date, rules for blah, 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 all that stuff.
Randy's rules. I would buy this.
Randy's rules.
But I think
Jamie.
Randy's rule. Kevin has to sign off. He's the creator of them. But I don't know, man. Like, I have to think about it. It seems like a movie.
No deconstruction, no self-awareness. Just do the opposite of what we did.
Yeah. It's true. People forget about that, how the movie was meta, and it was even meta on meta. Like when I said, Jamie, look behind you, I almost wonder, I knew that Wes was doing some trick because I think it was in the script that the killer was coming behind me, but the fact that my name was Jamie, the way it was staged, I get that a lot now. Yeah. Like that was like the super meta. And people forget when you see meta now, it's all Kevin. That was I never saw a movie do that.
What do you mean, Jamie? I thought your name was Randy. Am I missing something?
I think you're missing a tip.
Jamie with Jamie. Rose, I was Jamie commenting on Jamie Lee. Randy commented, Jamie Kennedy is meta on meta.
Gotcha. It's too meta for me, obviously.
I do want to ask Kevin, I mean, you have made 3 sequels to the original with another one on its way, and you still managed to surprise us in every one. How do you maintain the quality and the shocks? Do you ever worry about running out of these great ideas?
No. I mean, in terms of sequences and scare sequences, I just love sitting around thinking those things up. And but in terms of, I do worry that the franchise, kind of wears itself out with the meta and the self-awareness and all the deconstruction. And there's only so many times because so many people have since then done horror films like it or in the vein of, and so you do worry that it's kind of run its course. But what I love about the new Scream is that it does sort of take a fresh approach. It's this beautifully sort of fresh new movie, but it also has this nostalgic factor that sort of runs through it. That sort of is like, to me, a perfect blend of how to do the next Scream. So that's what I'm so excited about.
Well, that answered one of the many questions we're getting, which are, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Scream 5? And please tell us everything about it. But I think you probably revealed everything you can.
I don't think we can say too much about it, except that I'm thoroughly excited. I'm blown away by the directors, and I was really nervous because, nobody's Wes Craven. And I was really hesitant to, even jump on board or be a part of it. And boy, am I glad I did, because I think they're going to make Wes proud. They're doing an amazing job.
I had been really apprehensive about doing one of these films without Wes. And the directors, actually, they sent me a letter when the offer was sent, and just said that the reason that they are directors is because of Wes, and the reason they're so honored to even be asked to make this film, and that they're just such huge fans of him and these films themselves and of the cast, and that they really wanted to honor his voice, which I really, really believe they did. And it's also very fresh. And then I watched their movie. What's it called? Ready or Not.
Ready or Not.
Yeah, Ready or Not. I thought it was so good, and I was like, "Oh, they can do this."
Yeah, absolutely.
So and they have that sort of.
They were doing. Yeah,
I agree. I could not be more over the moon from the script from Jamie and Guy, who wrote the script, all the way to Radio Silence. I think it's just a beautiful team. They're so respectful to every moment of Scream 1 and how to. They're just so prepared, and they have a great vision for it. So I'm super excited.
David, I believe that you're reprising the character of Dewey in the new Scream movie. Will you tell us everything about it?
No, we can't say anything, but I can tell you that Jack Quaid's in it, and I knew him as a little kid, and now he's like this incredible actor, and he's like 24, 25, like the age I was when I did the first one, and it was just such a like mind warp to see like the world kind of just all of it. And the group of actors that they got are really incredible and super talented. And it did feel like they bonded in us in a way like we did, except they like weren't as like wild, I don't think, but they were very sweet,
tame version.
super talented,
Yeah.
and incredible
They were so
directors
good.
and amazing stuff.
How wild were you guys? I mean, we had lights in your hotel.
It was the 90s. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was the great thing. I mean, there was this camaraderie that happened for all of us that's different than I think any of us have ever experienced before, because there was everyone had a sense of belief in the film, and there was no preconceived notion or pressure coming from the outside world. And we were together. We ate dinner together every night. We'd hung out on the weekends. And now the industry's changed. The industry is, everyone's on their phones. You're connected in different ways, but we only had each other. And working nights, you would come home and, like Skeet said, people would be leaving for their day, and we would gather for a beer or two for like 6-7 hours. Like it was just a family experience that is hard to duplicate these days. And I think that that's why, not only because the movie's successful, but we had that kind of relationship. It defined our careers. It changed who we are as people. And it was just a really special time. So it was partying, but it wasn't, it wasn't crazy. It was just together all the time.
For me, it was like one of the most normal experiences that I've had in my life, actually. Like, I didn't go to regular high schools. And I played, I'd seen my life in the movies. Tatum's life I'd seen in the movies. It was not my life. And it wasn't like, it was just like, not in the movies. I'd seen it through looking when you drive down the street and you see into someone's home kind of thing. Right. And it was like funny playing something that was like nothing close to anything I ever was or had lived, but playing it convincingly. So that was cool. And it was a cool thing to be a part of. I didn't have like school friends. I didn't have, I don't know, whatever normal people do. I'm not sure. But I did not do that. And, of course, my normal high school experience, which was Scream, that was my version of high school. And, of course, I died in it. But maybe everyone dies. Part of them dies in high school anyway, metaphorically. Metaphorically, maybe one way or another, you die in high school.
We have a question from Renee Gonzalez for the whole cast. Were there any pranks or running jokes on the set of the original film? And for some reason, I'm looking at Jamie. Maybe that's not fair, but he is a professional prankster.
I was the scaredest person on the set. I was like, I would just do my scene and hide in my room, like the first couple of scenes. But I'm trying to think. Was there Matthew, David? I'm trying to think of Skeet.
I dressed in Gail Weathers' trench coat.
Yeah, you did that. I remember that.
And wore like her dress under, and then went around the set.
Yeah, I do.
There was one of our props guys dressed up in Ghostface and would jump out at odd times when we were expecting it during the scene. So that was fun.
David, you remember chasing prom limos?
Oh yeah, there was like
we had no party to go to one night, and it was like prom, but in real life or whatever, in Santa Rosa. And David and I were like, "What do we do tonight?" I don't know. Hey, let's find a party. How do we do that? Oh, there's prom limos going around. So we started crashing people's prom parties. Like David and I are like. And people they had like cans trailing their cars and like people going woo outside of the windows, and we're like that one, and we like chase after it and crash their party. Super cool.
Yeah, totally.
But so you could do all that for social media.
Where were we during this?
Yeah, I remember that.
We were not going to prom.
Thank God there was no Instagram back then. We would have been.
Yeah,
Oh.
we'd have been in a lot of trouble.
By the way, I just remembered that Kevin has a special prop that he will reveal if we get enough donations. If people want to donate for the chance.
Does Kevin know what it is?
I know. Kevin showed it to us before we got on. I think he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. But I guess people just have to donate to find out.
Can I say one thing about the charity that I chose, which was East Los Angeles Women's Center, real quick? And I want to say it's a boots on the ground organization, meaning that it's not an organization that throws, I'm not saying any of the others are, I don't know, but I choose charities and I've worked with them for a long time. They're the only long-term post-human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse care center. They've been around for 40 years. It's primarily serves the Latina community, but they'll help anybody. It's at ELAWC. And I know sometimes when people describe charities, it doesn't really sound like what it is. But it's an incredibly important group of people. I wish you could franchise, like organizations like this that do good in the world for no recognition, no money. And they're just people there that are doing it because it's necessary to save lives. And what you're doing tonight by tipping us, you're not tipping us. You're helping people literally right now. There's so many people trapped with their abusers, so many children trapped inside and they cannot get out. And any lifeline, anything you can do, $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever it is, will be deeply appreciated. I will see the results directly. They will see the results directly. So that's my pitch for it. I know a lot of charities, it looks like people just go to fancy dinners and with flowers and this and that. This is not that. This is real help for real people that are really suffering. And we could use your help. So thank you.
It is a great organization.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm actually very familiar with it, and it's a wonderful organization. Yeah. I'm also familiar with the National Breast Cancer Coalition. I don't know if anybody wants to speak more to that.
Yeah, I'll say something. Yes. On Scream 2, I was going through a really hard time. My mom was battling breast cancer, and I was just... I was dating Courtney at the time. We were really, she hated me. And there was just like a lot of stuff. But Wes was really sweet. And he sat me down and he gave me such a generous, like father-son kind of talk just about getting my life on track. And, I think Courtney really likes you. You should make it work. But she's not going to trust you if you're a wild man. And I don't know. I was really grateful to him for that. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month is happening, and this is an incredible charity. So I just wanted to share that.
It's a wonderful organization.
David, can I tell you a weird memory? It's a wonderful organization. Sorry. Courtney drove me to San Francisco once on a weekend. I believe she was breaking up with the boyfriend she was with before you on that phone ride. And I sat there like silently for the 3 hours, like, me. Never talked. And I think it was because of you.
No.
I'm not sure. Probably not because of you. I'm just saying I was there for it. And I was like, that's really weird. I wish I wasn't in this car right now. It's awkward.
That doesn't give a $400 tip.
She tends to do a lot of phone calls. But I remember going in a limousine back to LA. Like I was staying up there the whole time. And Jamie, I don't know. You were going back with Courtney in a limo, and we got in, and there was like vodka there. I was like, vodka, free vodka. And I ended up just getting blasted.
I'm sure that impressed her so much.
Oh, yeah. I remember that limo ride after this table read.
God, do you remember limos?
They're going to have to tip a lot for that story.
I wasn't even, I don't know if I'd really been in a real limo before. I'd been in once. And chasing prom.
We chased prom limos. We weren't in the limo, but we were chasing limos.
Yes, I love that.
Does anyone want to speak more about the I Have a Dream Foundation Los Angeles? While we're here, I know a little bit about them, but if someone is more of an expert, please.
I'm no expert.
Please.
I'm no expert, but I've had some kids come to set that that were part of that, and it's the gratitude and that joy that they bring to people is palpable. I don't know much about the organization other than being on the other side of it and having people come to different things, but they seem to do incredible work for a lot of people. I know people in other industries who say the same thing. They're just, and to see the joy on those kids' faces is worth every cent.
Yeah, it's good.
But I'm sure somebody has.
Yeah, it's really important for people to know, like those kids and the people that are benefiting from it or being helped. It's like people, especially right now, we're in these small lives. Our lives have gotten quite small in a lot of ways. They're big in some ways and very small in a lot of ways. And so many of these kids had very small lives in the sense that they don't know that there's other jobs, other worlds, other possibilities, that you can be an artist, that you can be anything you want to be, that you can dream and you can dream big. And organizations like, that are literally about that dream, about like it is attainable, not like being a celebrity or star or something like that, but like you could be the cinematographer, you could be the art department, you could be the director, you could be the producer, you could be whatever you want to be, or just like see something you've never seen before and be involved in the artistic process, which is so lacking, especially in America.
Look, I think it's good to call out that all the proceeds that are donated tonight are going 100% to charity. I mean, the whole thing is about donations. So thank you so much for everyone out there for donating and for being a part of this. And thank you.
Yeah, and also thank you to the fans for all this.
Yeah, for the years.
I can't.
I want to thank Matt for waving his feet.
And I'm very grateful for Scream. It really did launch me into the career I dreamed about. So I'm so grateful for it, and very, very grateful for all of you guys for bringing it to life.
I'm so grateful you're all here. I so appreciate it. We actually have a question, and I'm hoping this might lead into Kevin revealing something he showed us before we started. Bailey Jonick wants to know, did you keep any memorabilia or props from the set? Now, I know Kevin did.
I did.
I kept the boots.
The boots, huh?
Yeah.
I think
but that was it.
Burned my costume.
Well,
Yeah, you had to wear it every day, like the 4 outfits over and over.
The last couple of weeks, I was so covered in blood. They obviously didn't want to wash it because they needed continuity on the blood. So I would walk into my trailer in the evenings, because that's when we would start, and it would be like cardboard, just like
sticky cardboard.
I would get myself in it, and then they would spray me with water. So no, I didn't keep anything.
A lot
of the clothes I wore were. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I had this one. I went to JP Jones, who was our prop guy, and I said, I want a mask. And he just went into the prop truck and threw me a mask. And I went, I want one that was used in the movie. Mm-hmm. And so he went into the garage, and it was when we were killing you, Rose. And he ripped it off the stunt guy, and he gave it to me. And this is the mask that killed you.
Wow. No way.
And it's getting real.
Wow.
Hello. On the new movie. So there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
It's the only prop I kept him, but it's still, you know what? I kept
it's a good one.
Wes Craven kept props.
He did.
A lot of props.
Yeah,
I have a lot of my clothes.
I saw the.
Did anybody else keep anything? Jamie?
I got my green hush puppies.
There you go.
Are those shoes?
Fresh. Yeah, they were shoes, and my Fresh Jive. Big staple of the 90s.
Stuff. Yeah, I had half of my clothes that I wore, because I was like, I remember, no disrespect to her, but the woman that did, she was very young, and I think it was her first big costuming job on the movie, and she tried to make me wear like white platform Keds, and I was like, I couldn't help it. I had just done a movie called Jawbreaker, which is very mouthy, and she was like, these are very now. And I was like, they're very never. So I wore my own. I was like, no, because she was from the South, and it was just not Tatum. And so I wore the red and white striped pants are mine. The white boots are mine. I went shopping for the swirl thing. I found that skirt at the Santa Rosa Mall. the night before shooting, I bought 4 sets of everything because they told me I needed 4 sets. Because I was like, I'm not wearing overalls. I'm not like, I was just very specific with my character. And, nobody's ever really asked me about, or tend to not ask women a lot about their approach to characters. But for me, clothing was always very, very important. And the look was very, very important of any character I played. Just like the tonality of my voice, like Tatum's voice is different than my voice, finding it, things like that. But what I kept was that skirt, especially at Swirl, because I knew the camera was going to be on my butt when I bent over into that fridge. And I was like, I will be subversive any way I can.
We have a question from Amanda
awesome.
M. Well, it's for the cast. Wants to know if there was any character that was killed off in the franchise who should have survived and why. And you're not allowed to say yourself. You're not allowed to say yourself.
What are you talking about? There's only one person that should have survived.
Wow.
Really? Right?
Like TV, I'm going to throw a TV on my own head and show you it's Survivor.
This was free flat screen though.
Wow, those TVs hurt.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have died. Everyone deserves it. It wouldn't be a very good horror movie if people survived.
Yeah. People have to go, but it is always sad when they do go. I think especially because, like Matt and Jamie, and when the characters are elevated in that way, and Skeet and everything, you go, oh wait, no, I want to see more of that. It was so good.
But obviously not Tatum, Nev.
Her guessing was so necessary and great.
But there was a twin bed.
It was too brilliant.
When you go to these conventions, there are like super cinephiles. And, I will say, like, top 3 things of my whole career is, why did you die? Why did you die? I mean, it's a big deal. I know we're not supposed to talk about us, but a guy explained it perfectly. He goes, Scream would not have the impact it would if I didn't die.
Kill your darlings.
You got to. Exactly. Just like Drew. When
darlings.
Drew went out.
Yeah,
the brilliance of the sequence.
It's the brilliance of it. And it's like
Kevin could kill his darlings, that's for sure.
Yes. And that's what makes
You had to. It was perfect.
That's what makes this so good.
And because people got emotionally attached, and then they're like,
it wouldn't be if you didn't kill people.
What did you say, Kevin? Kevin, what'd you say?
I've done that for my entire career now because I learned it on Scream. Nobody wanted Randy to die, so I knew let's kill him halfway through and let's get the audience upset. So then you're going to watch Sydney fucking kill that killer. You're going to follow her through the rest of the movie. And so when she takes out the killer, she's bringing justice to Randy, and so it's that type of thing. You want the audience to get involved, and that's the way you do it. You kill off the darlings. And I did it in Vampire Diaries for, again and again and again. I made you fall in love with the character just so I could rip them from you.
Oh, God. Horrible, man. Horrible, man.
Like the puppet master.
How many people have you killed in the franchise? Do you know?
How many people have you killed, period?
Who?
I've killed 4 people, but not on film. No, I'm just kidding. Just in a wrestling ring.
People.
I would like to point out that you can kill someone and they'll still show up to set because Matthew made a cameo in Scream 2 as a different character. I don't know if you were just hanging around.
It's the most high profile walk I've ever done in my life. I literally walked in the back of one scene because Wes thought it'd be funny. I can say my own guy. Number 2, 3, and 4. I'm like, I'm not.
Brilliant. I just want to go out on kind of a speed round question that Jane Morrison submitted that I think is just lovely, which is, if you had to sum up working with Wes Craven in one word, what would it be?
Humble. I'm humbled.
Enlightening.
Brave.
I would say enlightening. I don't know. He was psychologically just so present and advanced and interesting.
It's hard to one word. I would say giving, like, for a young actor like me, and I would give ideas and he would say, yeah, try it. That's incredible. So I'd say super giving.
I would say everything.
Gentle. He was very gentle.
Twisted.
That made me cry.
No.
Blame Jane for the question, but I just love it.
Jane. We loved him.
Yeah, he was a gem.
Loved his work. Before we go, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today and raising money for our 3 great charities, National Breast Cancer Coalition, I Have a Dream Foundation Los Angeles, and East Los Angeles Women's Center. I want to thank Andrew Carlberg and Looped for producing today's event. Obviously, a huge shout out to all of you for being here. One for Wes Craven. If you're lucky enough to have a VIP call, remember to stay logged into the Looped app to receive your call. We have added some extra VIP calls. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, go to events.loopedlive.com.scream. Again, don't forget to tag Looped Live and Scream Reunion when you post your photos and one-on-one videos. And it's just so fantastic for you all to be here today, to take time out of your day. Thank you for all the years of laughs and frankly, screams. And thank you for continuing to do the work you do.
Janelle, you were great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janelle.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I love seeing you all. I love you all.
It was good seeing
Love
everyone.
you all.
Me too.
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.
And thank you to everybody out there who's watching and donating and invested in us, and that you still care, and that you care recently or that you care from the past, just that you care, because we care too. We cared so much, and we poured so much love into this, and we had so much and have so much love for each other that it means so much to us. I'll speak for all of us. I think that you're on this journey with us, and it is a journey, and we'll see you in another 20 years.
And Ski's gonna strip. Ski strip. Ski strip. Ski strip.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
All right.